coalition of 22 state attorneys general have called on the Biden administration to withdraw its vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. The attorneys general filed a petition under the Administrative Procedures Act requesting the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to take immediate action to repeal its shot mandates. Joining me now to discuss this is the leader of the petition, Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen. Attorney General Knudsen, welcome to Washington Watch.
Hey, thanks for having me, Joseph.
We're glad to have you and grateful for your leadership on this. Your position is that the mandate violates the rights of healthcare workers. Tell us why.
Well, there's several different theories here, but I mean, one of the biggest ones is this is just completely arbitrary and capricious. The administration did not go through the proper notice and comment period. They just rolled this rule out as an emergency because somehow they felt they had the authority to do that. They don't. But really what you've got here is a situation where this rule is really hurting healthcare workers. It's cost us a lot of healthcare workers jobs here in Montana. We've had 10 critical healthcare facilities, small nursing home facilities, skilled nursing home facilities closed just this year in Montana, which we predicted when this rule came through. This is exactly what happened. But look, on top of that, the science just doesn't back this up. It never has. The COVID vaccine, we now know, the science shows us, doesn't really stop transmission. It doesn't stop you from getting COVID. There's a myriad of reasons here that we could just keep talking about. But at the end of the day, this is costing us jobs.
Now, to your point about what we have learned, and admittedly at the beginning of this pandemic, there's a lot we did not know, but in recent months, the CDC has acknowledged exactly what you just said, that the COVID vaccine does not stop the transmission of the COVID virus. President Biden himself has said that the pandemic is over. If those things are true, why do you think the administration is continuing to enforce these vaccine mandates that their own information indicates does not accomplish the goal that they were implemented for?
That's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to it. I mean, the smart thing to do here is make this go away, take the pressure off these healthcare facilities, especially the ones that are being hurt in small states like Montana. But, you know, I don't think the administration is able to do that. I think there's such a level of pride here. I think there is such a level of ownership that they're going to keep doubling down on this because if they admit they were wrong here, they have to admit that they didn't have the authority to do what they did here. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's flagrantly unconstitutional. I think it's a clear violation of the 10th Amendment. But I'm not confident that the administration is just going to roll over on this.
Now, you and 21 other attorneys general have requested that the Biden administration withdraw the vaccine requirement for healthcare workers. Are you prepared to do more than that if they politely decline your request?
Absolutely. We will politely file suit, as we've done in the past. We've shown that we're willing to keep this fight going in multiple different circuits. You've got state attorneys general who've stepped up and done that for the last year. We're hopeful that they'll do the right thing here, which is why we've asked for a new petition. They can put the toothpaste back in the tube here. The question is, will they? I'm not hopeful, but they certainly can do the right thing.
Well, and you indicated just a moment ago that this just might be a matter of pride, not wanting to admit they were wrong. However, these mandates were done under claimed emergency authority. Now, if there's an emergency, it should be assumed that that emergency at some point would end. Have they given any indication that if this is not the time to withdraw these vaccine mandates, when would that time be?
No, they've given us no indication. And here's how crazy this is, Joseph. I mean, this interim final rule was passed to fight the Delta variant. Every medical expert in the country will tell you we're not dealing with the Delta variant anymore. The Delta variant is not the predominant strain that we're seeing of COVID. We're dealing with the Omicron variant. It's milder, but it's more transmissible. So by its own terms, this interim final rule should be thrown out because it purports to be an emergency rule to deal with the Delta variant, which is not what we're dealing with anymore.
Now, you talked about the number of healthcare workers that the state of Montana and other states have lost because of this, because of the mandate, the vaccine mandate. Do we have reason to believe that they're ready to join the workforce again as soon as this vaccine mandate is lifted?
You know, I certainly hope so. I can tell you that it was for a long time the number one call I got from my office, or excuse me, to my office, was from healthcare workers across the state of Montana. Look, we're a very rural state. We've got small communities with maybe a single hospital and maybe a nursing home in an entire county. And you had a lot of these people that just said, look, you're not going to force me to take this vaccine. I will quit. That's devastating to a small community where you've got maybe 15, 16, 17 skilled nurses working in this facility. You lose just a couple of those workers and that facility gets to the point where they have to close the doors. That is exactly what happened in Montana. We've lost 10 nursing homes just this year as a result of this mandate. So I hope they come back to work.
And that's the tragic story in this. You are, of course, interested in the rights of the healthcare workers, but that's trickling down in a very real sense to just people who need healthcare in rural parts of America. Attorney General Austin Knudsen, thanks so much for your time today and for your advocacy for the rights of all of us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.